Years before the Salem witch trials, allegations of witchcraft were alive and well on Long Island. One such story unfolded here in 1657 near the small cemetery in East Hampton. It involves the mysterious death of Elizabeth Gardner Howell, the daughter of the town's most prominent citizen, Lion Gardner, who was buried here. When Elizabeth Gardner Howell fell ill after giving birth, her father, Lion, rushed to her bedside.
Elizabeth Howell starts screaming that she's being bewitched, and eventually the young girl dies.
East Hampton historian Hugh King and his wife Loretta researched the case and talk about it during their cemetery tours. They showed us town records, including testimony from residents that Elizabeth suddenly shrieked that she saw a witch and blamed a local herbalist, Elizabeth Goody Garlick, for her death.
They needed to blame somebody for something because they didn't have reasons.
Goody Garlick was sent to Connecticut to stand trial and was eventually found not guilty. But some witches were not so lucky. Back then, they were burned at the stake, hung, or stoned to death. Fast forward more than 300 years later, and a lot has changed. According to the U.S. Census, the earth-based religion known as Wicca is the fastest-growing religion in the country, accounting for 1 million practicing Wiccans, and about 20% of them live right here in New York.
I do consider myself a witch, absolutely, yes.
A modern-day witch.
Modern-day witch.
Lisa McGarity is one of many Long Islanders who openly practice witchcraft. She lives in Port Jeff. She's a mom and owns Envision Crystal, where she does tarot card readings and sells everything a witch would need to connect to spirit.
Yes, there are more witches than ever before, but most are quiet, most are low-key, they don't really want a lot of attention.
McGarity says some witches are forced to practice in the so-called broom closet for fear of being judged or discriminated against. She says some people think that if you're a witch, you're a devil worshiper and you cast evil spells on people, which she says is the biggest misconception.
The way I would think about a spell is that it's a very focused prayer, and we like to use tools, symbolic things like stones or candles or incense, just to focus that prayer energy all that much more.
Some witches practice in solitude. Others come to a place like this, the Silver Broom Ministries in Sayville, one of the few public places on Long Island where witches can meet and learn.
We teach in here, people hang out in here.
Reverend Mark Lyons is the high priest of eclectic witchcraft here. He offers his community of witches classes in everything from magic to mysticism.
That's what we base the Silver Broom Ministries on. We're here to serve, we're not here to harm.
I do cleanse and consecrate this and need fire.
Lyons says it's been his personal mission to take witchcraft and what he does at the ministry into mainstream media and take people beyond the broomstick.
But I do think people are looking. I think that we are in a time of great change and transformation.
Antoinette Biordi, News 12, Long Island. For decades, Hollywood portrayed witches in TV shows like Bewitched and in movies like The Wizard of Oz.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
More recently, the Harry Potter series put witchcraft at center stage.
They're witches.
There was also the 1996 movie The Craft, in which 4 troubled teenage girls form a coven and use magic to seek revenge on kids who pick on them.
When the movie The Craft came out, and that's long before the Silver Broom was here, we definitely saw an increase in the size of our coven.
Reverend Mark Lyons is the high priest of eclectic witchcraft at the Silver Broom Ministries in Sayville. He says while his ministry's coven has 50 witches who meet here monthly, some Long Island witches are just not ready to come out of the broom closet yet.
We probably have more eclectic solitaries, those who practice alone that you would never know what they are doing behind closed doors.
But witches are among us here on Long Island. They may not wear pointy hats or have moles on their noses, but they are your next door neighbors, practicing witchcraft openly outdoors where they are close to nature. We were invited to an Espot, or a full moon ritual, by Stephen Pellegrino of Riverhead, his girlfriend Courtney, and their friend Brandon. It was held here in Wading River.
I cast this circle to protect from harm.
The coven of witches gather in a circle.
This salt is blessed, so I will it So mote it be.
They use wands or daggers as they chant
We ask you here to witness our needs and actions.
to draw down the power of the moon. At these ceremonies, Stephen and his friends cast their spells
We cast a spell and shield of protection.
and make their intentions known to the gods and goddesses.
The idea behind spellcraft is that it's pretty much just like a prayer.
A prayer, they say, that is of good intentions, not evil.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about witches?
That they're exclusively evil, that there is nothing to be learned and it's just the devil's work. It's quite the opposite.
People think that it's all about the Hollywood raising the dead or bringing someone from the depths of hell or summoning demons. It's not that at all.
To many, this may seem like a lot of hocus pocus, but the lure of witchcraft has cast a mighty spell on those who believe. Antoinette Biordi, News 12, Long Island.